It's still lingering. The smell.
Real Myles.
Can I say as well?
No.
Though,
That was worse than drinking bleach.
Oh yeah, I drank bleach.
Do you still taste it? Do you still have the aftertaste in your mouth after all this time? Can you still remember the flavor?
Here's the weird thing. The taste wasn't as bad as I thought. It was. I mean, I think it was because the smell was so overpowering that was the thing that got to me. And when I put it in my mouth, then it was just all there. I mean, it tasted like you think it tasted like someone's arse with salt. It was awful. But the smell was something else. My house stank for days and days and days. I'd come home from work and I'd be like, good Lord, it stinks of chili juice still. What's going on?
Oh, can you take us through, if you can remember, like what are the ratios or the ingredients that go into a chili juice serving?
It's surprising how fast my memory goes. So chili juice is basically fermented cabbage juice or kale juice with lots and lots of pink Himalayan salt. So it's roughly, I think it's 2 cups of water per 1 cup of shredded kale and 1 teaspoon of pink, and it has to be pink Himalayan salt. And I joked in my video, like we should try and get some. I should try and get some GMO-free salt, which actually exists, which is fascinating.
No, it does not. Does it really?
No, it does. No, you can search it. No, yeah, you can search for it. So I actually even found the reason why the company said it as well. So the idea is that you put in what is it? I can't remember what metal it is. Is it? It's not fluorine. Iodine. There's an iodine source
iodine
for people.
Yeah, but iodine.
And
you put iodine to make it flow
yeah.
easier. Give them caking.
Yeah, but and apparently there's also a bit of cornstarch in there, like tiny amounts, and therefore that cornstarch is non-GMO, so that makes it non-GMO Himalayan salt. Ridiculous.
Oh man. Have we gotten this bad in society? Really?
It's like doing non-GMO and GMO water.
The things you can find that are non-GMO are fantastic. You can find non-GMO kitty litter, which like, why?
Oh my! Why? Oh man! See,
my favorite one is non-GMO water.
Yeah, dude, I was kidding. No shit. No, really.
I was
kidding. Actually, they have. Oh my god, they have non-GMO water and GMO water.
How do you even begin to break that down? Honestly.
Actually, it's a fascinating one. It's all about fear. This whole branding thing, which is not official. It's a company that does it, and they rely on people's fear and to sell things. And companies realize that they can market this and they can make their product, which there may not even be a GMO variety of it, and they can put this label on there, and consumers will say, "Hey, therefore, it's healthier somehow."
Like with the gluten or the MSG thing, it seems like there's different phases that we go through. MSG was a big one several years back, and then we went to gluten, and now we're at GMO, I guess. Steve, are you wearing a non-GMO T-shirt right now?
Yeah, I think this is polyunsaturated, non-trans fat, GMO, hygienically safe. Polyunsaturated. To go back to the chili juice, because I wanted to throw this caveat on there. If you're talking about animals, I really don't care if people want to drink this crap and kill themselves if they're that stupid. I'm one of those people. I just have no sympathy. But when they give it to their dogs, that's where I'm drawing the line. At that point, then it goes full circle. They're using their animals. They need to have the animal taken away, and they need to go to jail.
Yeah, I agree, and I would say the same as well with children, because if you go online for a time when you were on Julie's Facebook page, you could see videos of her followers posting videos of their children who were taking it, who were on the toilet and were obviously distressed.
Oh man, I thought that would be her undoing 2 weeks ago, because one of her posts 2 weeks ago was that she was talking to one of her followers about putting their dog on it. They had a picture of the dog and the owner putting it in a bowl. And Jilly was like, yes, we need to get all of everybody's pets on this. The pets need to be on the protocol. They need to be cleansed too. And I thought that would be her undoing, because if there's one thing you can't fuck with is people's pets. You know, the diehard, animal rights people. I thought they would pick up on that and run with it. But she's still out and about, spouting off her same bullshit.
How would you even feed a dog salty cabbage water? I mean, I think that would be impossible.
You think they were turning their nose up to it, right?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Yeah, it may not be something that's feasible.
The whole Jilly Juice thing is absolutely ridiculous, by the way. But do you guys know that I've read her book, which is like 200 pages of just nonsense? Nothing makes any sense. I was there reading it on a train up to Glasgow at the time, and I was just like, I'm like 100 to 200 pages in, and I still don't understand what she's talking about. Apparently, this Jilly Juice it's magical. It fixes everything that's wrong with you for rather bizarre reasons that I still now don't fully understand. She's making it up on the spot. Let's not be around the bush here. And it's all bollocks.
You're not woke
in her book. In her sources, she quoted Paul Revere, the story of Paul Revere, and the dictionary. She put because she looked up a word, she cited the dictionary as a source, and because she said this quote or this phrasing, and maybe you remember better than I do, but it was something about stopping this is the equivalent of us letting the redcoats come in when Paul Revere. Something to do with Paul Revere, and instead of us fighting back, just letting them go. So she put Paul Revere's Wikipedia page as one of her sources.
That's some good R&D right there. I mean, have you seen? I mean, she does actually quote not scientific papers, but she quotes a bit of science malarkey. So her rather bizarre idea is that you've got to. She basically bases your whole diet she promotes on your elemental analysis, essentially what the composition of your body is. How much of it is hydrogen, how much is oxygen, blah, 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 blah. But for some reason, she believes that it's okay to have a mass overload of sodium and chlorine. I'm sorry, I realize that people might be listening to this and thinking that I'm not making any sense. This is literally what she's saying. It's really hard to vocalize her ideas because they're just all over the place. Yet she can talk for Queen and Country. She talks for hours and hours and hours without saying anything.
And the other thing with her too is that she's so like nothing is her fault and she's not responsible for anything. I go back to the Dr. Phil episode where she's just incredulous. Like there are two women across from her that had a stroke because of the salt intake that they were coming in, and she was just unmoved, unfazed, unwilling to admit that she, bore any responsibility there. And to me, that's just, and I mean, yeah, they are making it themselves. Like she's not selling an already put together product. So there's all kind of loopholes that she kind of falls into. But at some point, somebody's got to step in.
I know. By the way, this is a pet peeve of mine, is where people give out medical advice and tell people, what to do if they're ill, but they think they're safe because, well, they are safe because they have a disclaimer in their book or they have a disclaimer on their website. And I think that's absolutely atrocious. I think if someone's giving out medical advice that's potentially dangerous and leads to people having a stroke, I'm sorry, you should get sent down. You shouldn't be giving out this kind of stuff. And when she was on Dr. Phil, Jesus Christ, she was so out of phase with everyone there. I was watching it, and the first thing that came to my mind is, and I know it's so cliche and such a shit thing to say, but it's like, is she on something? Because she just doesn't seem to be absorbing what people are telling her, and she seems to be in her own realm.
Fermented cabbage, that's what she's on. She is on fermented cabbage.
You guys may not know this, but this is not a unique thing. This is a reiteration of something that happened back in my day that I remember, because she talks about parasites, right? And the Jilly Juice is supposed to cleanse the parasites like that. That actually stems from a book that was written called A Cure for All Cancers. Have you read that or familiar with that, from Dr. Clark? Was her name?
No, sorry.
Dr. Clark was this quack neuropath that had suggested that flukes and parasites in the liver were causing cancer. And so she made this machine called the Zapper, and you could buy the parts at Radio Shack. So I tried making one to test it out, kind of thing. And it's basically an oscillator, and you hold on to these things, and what it does is it sends a high frequency signal through you, and that's supposed to resonate the flukes and kill them. It's bullshit. And she, got sued, and the FTA got involved, and she moved to Mexico, and it was just a huge quackery, right? But the concept is this is just a new, a new and a revived iteration of that kind of concept, that these parasites are causing all the problems in humanity, including somehow fixing if you get an amputation or something, it can correct that too. I don't know how flukes do that, but
do you not think there's odd correlations there from what you're saying between what Jilly's saying and Scientology? So you have to hold these kind of cam things that are going to detect these things inside you, thetans, parasites, and
it's very
you
similar.
cure yourself.
Well, but Scientology it's reading your right. It's different. That's reading a galvanic difference.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
It's
really
this one's an interesting one as well. Yeah, it's exactly like you would think it is, nothing but bullshit, but it's written rather eloquently. So L. Ron Hubbard had that going for him.
That's what everybody says.
It's written as if
we've had several Scientologists on here. We actually had David Miscavige, the leader of Scientology. His dad came on, and we did an interview with him.
David Miscavige, that would be amazing.
No, yeah. Although we were frightened there for a week that he was gonna come kidnap us. I got a lot of messages, like cryptic messages from Scientologists saying, "Don't have Ron Miscavige on. It won't happen. This interview won't happen." So, but yeah, it's frightening that even that group themselves are able to, kind of function within society with some of the stories and things that they do to their members. It's crazy, but every one of them will tell you that L. Ron Hubbard had a way with words, and that's why he was able to convince so many people that a science fiction writer, that's what he does for a living. He's a science fiction writer, but yet he holds the key to the world's true religion, which is that a galactic overlord dropped us into volcanoes several millions of years ago, and from Xenu, and that's where we are today. Nobody made the connection.
Kyle. You make it sound like some crazy idea. Come on.
It is crazy. It's bizarre.
Mm-hmm. But no, it's yeah. How you talk about parasites and stuff, but that is a cornerstone for a lot of quackery out there. I mean, you said that you want to talk about, spoilers, turpentine therapy later on, and that is practically copy and pasted from Jilly Juice. It's exactly the same. In fact, I actually found out about turpentine therapy from Jilly. So I was watching one of her videos, and she was saying how she was going to expose all these other alternative medicine things for being crap, and she listed them all. And then she was like, "Oh, turpentine therapy." And I was like, "Wait, what?" Say that again.
Okay, I have a question though about, before we go any further on Jilly. Is there any, or since you've been looking into all of these claims deeply in various aspects of woo and pseudoscience, is there any truth to the parasite claim? Where do you think that stems from? Where's that worry coming from?
I guess it comes from having a smidgen of truth to it. So this yeast does exist. It is an opportunistic yeast that, when things go wrong, can be fairly nasty, and people tend to take this little snippet of truth and just run with it. And this just happens to be one that has caught on. For every one of these, there'll be like a million others that haven't, that we never hear of. But unfortunately, this one, it's just gone. It kind of makes, and I guess it's easy to understand as well. It kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm. There's truth to the flukes too. Flukes can cause liver cancer, and they can get in your bile ducts, and there is a grain of truth to these things, but that doesn't mean what they're saying is the solution to it.
Well,
there might be, it's really fascinating. I was going to say, it's really fascinating when you find these grains of truth that are in the weirdest of things. So at the moment, I'm looking into the gay frogs from Alex Jones. there's
frogs are gay. They told
truth there.
Yeah, totally gay frogs. We need more gay frogs.
While while there may be a smidgen of truth to that, let's go into where there is absolutely no truth to anything that she says. And where she really made me angry was this post was made